Hello, everybody, and welcome. I hope you all are doing great. Today, I'm going to pick my first job with my own truck, and I'll be talking F1. I hope I will not get many people annoyed with myself, but the recent few races been really interesting, and as usual, the social media is melting down. All the crazy, hardcore, I don't know if I should call them fans, but yeah, the crowd is going crazy. We'll talk all about that, and now I can go pick the next job. We are already, yeah, it's already set to the longest distance, but this is the general view. I should have clicked to Munich. Yes, there we are. We start from Munich again. As we bought our truck, it sent us back to our headquarters, which is in Munich. So we start all over from Munich. And it is headed towards Kazakhstan. I think the letters are a little bit messed up here, but it's Kazakhstan on the border with Kyrgyzstan something. And holy cow, that's a long way. I think it will be over, yeah, it's over 100 hours. Let's go. Here we go. We are on our way. We can relax and have a conversation. Well, not a conversation. It will be a monologue, me ranting about what is messed up about Formula One. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that I will not be offending anyone. First of all, why F1? Well, I told you, if you have seen any of the earlier videos, that I don't want to just put out there some long hours of truck driving video without any context, without anything added to it, you know. So one of the ideas I had was this: picking different interesting topics. Well, interesting topics to me, I should say, because I don't know what everyone likes. If you are even familiar with Formula One, I don't know, but I will pick on different topics, and Formula One is one of them. And why in particular Formula One at this point? And the answer to that is, despite being really boring for almost 2 decades now, I'm giving away my age here. I'm around my 30s, and I've been a big fan since I was a child. So I have seen quite a big part of the recent decades of Formula One. And I must say that recently it got pretty interesting. It was really getting boring, and we keep getting these short bursts of exciting competition, exciting races, a lot of overtakes and unexpected results and such things. But we keep hoping that it will stay. It will not be a short burst this time, and it will be like this, really competitive, unexpected. A bunch of different cars, teams, drivers are up there with a chance to actually win it, and it is one of those times now. That's why I picked the topic. And if you look at the fan base on the social media, people are, I don't know, they are not really caring much about what is going on behind the scenes, and they are just focusing on these long periods where a team or a driver just dominates everything, and they will just take it as it is, very superficially. They won't care about what is happening and why. They are just, yeah, 6 world titles, no 4 world titles, no this one is better or that. It's almost, they are talking about these drivers like they are some driving gods floating over the clouds or something. And I think that's not a healthy discussion, because it's often one-sided, non-stop praising of the dominating team and the driver. And then when things change and other teams and drivers start catching up, they start challenging the dominating team and the driver on the track, then things get heated pretty quickly, both on the track, in the pits, on the internet, everywhere. It starts burning. We have seen the problem between Lando and Piastri about switching places before the end of the race. That was a drama, and we have seen such things before in other teams, between other drivers. When drivers perform like that with cars that are performing pretty similar to each other, every little gain matters. So even team principals start getting involved after that. They are looking at each other's cars, searching for a little issue that they can complain about and try, even if they cannot make a gain, try to make their opponent fall a little bit back. And then F1 media, journalists and all that, and then the fan base, everything. And I would like to dig into that a little bit, try to make sense of it if I can achieve. But nothing is scripted. I didn't make a deep research about anything. I'm just a fan who follows the sport for a long time, and I will not try to be very extremely accurate with the numbers or dates or anything like that. What matters to me is the logic, the understanding of what is going on. Why do we have such events happening, and why is it creating such a reaction from everyone involved, from track to pits to the fan base to F1 media, all of that. I will try to untangle the situation a little bit to make it more understandable, if you will. First, I would like to start with why F1 is so important. Why do they call it the pinnacle of motorsport? Why is it so expensive and without making much money, if at all? Many teams, many different manufacturers, car manufacturers are participating in it. It all comes down to what we drive on the road every day, our daily driver cars. Because most important technologies that we have on our cars these days, one way or another, they were... Wait a second, which way are we going? I'm not sure. That doesn't really look like it's made for a truck. I'm gonna try, because I see the tire marks on the ground. Or no, they are not tire marks. I'm stupid. Back up. So yeah, either it's traction control, a different suspension geometry, different components, computers, aerodynamics, brake systems, or how efficient an engine is. There are many different technologies, and most of them are coming from motor racing and mostly from F1. Maybe you have heard there is this saying, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. At the weekend, during a race, you bring your car, your newest, best performing car, and you participate in a race and you beat everyone else. People see it, they will rush to the stores and they will look for your stuff. They will try to buy the car you produce because it won on Sunday. So what was new in it? What sort of innovation you came up with? Why is your car accelerating better or turning better or stopping better, whatever it might be, leading to your performance? People will be interested in it and you will be selling lots and lots of cars. And Formula One is the motorsport that requires participants to be at the cutting edge of these technologies and innovations with its regulations and competition. You can see different car manufacturers just showing up in F1, starting bad, but with a lot of investment, they improve and they start gaining points and maybe even winning races and so on. If they are successful at some point, that's good, but even if they are not successful, even if they just leave after a few years of participating in F1, they consider it as mission accomplished in most cases, because they were there to learn something, they were there to develop some technology they didn't have, and they got it. It doesn't really matter much that they didn't get a title or something, because that wasn't the first priority anyway. However, this relationship doesn't function the same way throughout different eras of the sport. In 70s, 80s, 90s, it worked one way, and now it does a whole another way. It's the same relationship, same benefits, same kind of benefits, but totally different dynamics, totally different way of gaining this kind of experience. When we look at the driver's relation with the whole thing, it is not the same thing in a different way with a different method anymore. It is quite a big change. on the driver's side, what they had to do, what they have to do. Both what sort of competition a driver has to fight against on the track, and for how long those challenges will be on the table. We can, for example, compare an innovation that was banned in 90s. How many races did it take for them to ban? And all those drivers who went, holy shit, what did you do to that car? How come you are 2-3 seconds per lap faster or whatever? How long did it take before it was taken down, it was banned? And how long will it take today, if it was even possible? I mean, at this point, I don't even think that coming up with such groundbreaking, radical innovation is, yeah, it's pretty hard, if possible at all. So how long and how drivers had to deal with a team making a step forward, it was completely different. Anyway, I'll continue with it, but I think we can make some progress. Meanwhile, we have a lot of kilometers to go, and we haven't even made a dent in it. So I will speed things up a little bit and catch up with you shortly, and we will continue. First time I'm seeing such lights on the ground in a gas station. I don't know if that's original or coming with one of the modes I'm using. I'm not sure. Uncle Joe is rested. We can get on the road again and carry on with the Formula One subject. So I was comparing the impact of innovation in older eras with the new one. This new era since 2010 or so. And yeah, obviously, the conclusion is that back then it was way more innovative in a broader sense. Even a small team could really think out of the box and come up with something cheap and really effective, really different to anything else you have seen before. And today, despite spending insane amount of money, teams are forced to focus in a narrow band of subjects where they can try to find some wiggle room, some little things to change and try to improve. And that is actually a limiting factor, that you will never see a car that looks totally different to whatever else is on the track. It is not that easy anymore. It's not even possible anymore. So the championship, the title, the driving skill of a driver who achieved whatever back in those years cannot really be compared to what a driver achieves now. I'm not even saying, hey, that was harder, they are better, and now this is easy, or vice versa. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is that it is not really comparable. It was a whole different game, and the duration of such things, disturbances, if you will, was really different compared to what it is today. These days, teams are working in tight frames and they are pretty similar to each other with where they are with their development and how much they can improve. At the moment, it's all about little steps in contrast to big leaps which were possible before. That being said, if you manage to, either by little steps or some sort of small leap, get in front, if you get the upper hand on the other teams, if you get the advantage, you can actually keep that, enjoy that for a longer period. This is one of the reasons why I find it ridiculous when people compare the drivers from older eras to current ones and come up with assumptions that this one is the best ever in the history, yada yada. It's like comparing apples to oranges. It's a whole different thing, and we don't know. Like, Senna has how many championship titles compared to Schumacher, Hamilton, or what Max will have, or I don't know, the Menzel, the Prost, I don't know. There are a lot of names, man. And you are telling me that this guy was the best ever. There are a lot of Senna fans who will repeat that. Senna was the best, Senna was the best, is the best. It doesn't matter how many titles you have, he's the best. Okay, but then the other guy says, no, the Hamilton is the best. 7 world titles, and trigger alert, sorry for this. If Verstappen didn't steal his title in Abu Dhabi, he would be 8 times world champion, 1 more than Schumacher even. All right. And just by saying this, you already trigger a bunch of Verstappen fans, and they will just come at you, and they will say a bunch of other things. You know where I'm getting at. It's ridiculous, and this is one of the reasons why I think we shouldn't be really comparing. It's a whole different thing. And if we have to compare, I would pick, not by a big shot, but I would pick the older era over the current one. Despite facing different challenges and showing different skills and qualities, in the end, they are just as good, pretty close to each other, if not as good as each other. Me picking the older eras doesn't really change that fact, because I'm not making that decision based on something big. So it is kind of like comparing a Roman soldier to a World War II soldier, which you shouldn't really directly compare. But if you do, you could say that they are just as good as each other, despite huge differences. And probably everyone would pick one or the other based on some small things, probably. In such things, people make up their minds based on their emotions in general. I think we'll either like someone and side with them, or not in the end, because there is no way of making an objective, clear judgment. So what else is there to do? You pick the one you like, more or less. One thing is very different though, they were never so glorified. Well, rock stars and racing drivers and all that, yeah, we know that story. They are popular, they are loved by the ladies and so on, but no, not the same scale what is going on today. Today, the random dude in the middle of nowhere is in the discussion, sharing his opinion, yelling at someone, and the media is totally different. People who follow the sports or such sports or other activities, it is a whole different thing now. For example, when Senna was winning his titles, probably more than half of the world's population didn't even have television in their homes. Can you imagine how popular could he get anyway? Like, how many people could get involved in the discussion, disliking or loving him and glorifying or I don't know, criticizing him? That was nothing compared to what's going on today. One thing I can say clearly for myself is that yes, drivers are just as good, a little better or worse. Each individual is different. That will never change. Every era, that will be the case. So I agree that the drivers are just as good, but I enjoyed the older times way better. The Formula One was more entertaining, and you could see driver skills more on the track. These days, it is more of a timing thing. If you are in the wrong team, in the wrong car at the wrong time, it doesn't matter what sort of skills you have, you will not be able to show anything, and your career will be short-lived, and that will be it. And even if you are really, really good, you won't be really able to show your skills on the track that often. It is pretty static. Like if you we had some years where if you followed a car closely, just 2 laps or 3 laps, just chasing them, trying to overtake them, and if you are not done with it by then, your tires are screwed. You are not able to follow anymore. You cannot even put the same lap times as the guy in front anymore. You have to drop back, manage the temperatures and whatever, and then approach again. And each time you do that, because of the aerodynamics from the wash coming from the car in front of you, things will happen. Let's not go into the details, like I'm an expert, I am not, but you know what I mean. Like what kind of skills you expect to be shown. It won't work. It doesn't work. And that causes some little advantage a team has become really huge on the track. Like you are maybe just 2 or 3 tenths faster from the rest. Maybe it's not even a half a second or something. And if your car suits most of the tracks, or let's say more of the tracks in the calendar suits your car than other teams suiting other tracks, there you go. You just gonna make sure that you don't mess it up in the wall or something during qualifying, or really mess up your strategy like Ferrari is known for. You are probably good. Just make sure you are on the pole, and make sure the first 2-3 laps, especially the first corner, just don't make a stupid mistake and pull a little gap and watch them try following you, trying to pass you. Your work will be way easier than whoever is following. Well, that changed that a bit. They changed that a bit with the recent rules and so on. It's not totally gone, but it's just an example in the end. I'm not really trying to list all the stuff, but you know where I'm coming from. Back then it wasn't like that. Someone showed up with something ridiculous, sure, and people had to deal with it. And even if it was banned 2, 3, 5 races later, or if they adapted their own thing, it was never so fine-tuned. Things were not so fine-tuned. Cars were not so closely matched that things kept changing, and you had to see someone overperforming with a car that is completely understeering every corner but really fast on the straights, and another car with totally different characteristics, another driver is dealing with totally different circumstances. You could see who can adapt. You could see who can improve themselves, or I don't know what sorts of tricks they can pull on the track to overtake someone, because you could watch them going side by side for several laps sometimes. Things were really different. And yes, I agree, I don't want to offend anyone. When I look at Hamilton and Senna, for example, I think their skills are not really far apart from each other, but when you watch Senna racing, you are able to see his skills, and you are able to see them more often. And when you are watching Hamilton, you know he is just as skilled, but you are not seeing it that often. And no, him, for example, having the incident in Silverstone in the first lap or something, and then falling all the way back, and then overtaking everyone, coming back to trying to win the race, and or whatever. No, if you are overtaking 2-3 cars per lap, like they are sitting ducks, and just the start-finish straight is proving how much better your car is than everyone else is, no, that doesn't really show too much skill to me. It's consistency, cool, yeah, lap after lap, performing the same times, really high pace, yeah, respect. And I already know you have amazing skills, like that I can compare to Senna's, no lie. But does that race show your skill level? No, I don't think so. Or looking at Verstappen and thinking, oh my god, he is so great, look at the pole position, and at the end of the race he was 40 seconds ahead of the whole grid. I mean, does that really show skills, driver quality? I mean, yes, you are an F1 driver to begin with, yeah, sure, you are one of the best, no doubt. You have been performing at such a high level, really competitive, even when your car was really unreliable, letting you down, engine and smokes and whatnot. You were really feisty and really aggressive driver as well, no doubt. I mean, I can list a bunch of things, you know, why he is amazing, why he is so skilled, what are his skills and whatnot. But does that performance show me his skills? Am I entertained watching his skills? No. He just pulled a pole position lap, no problem, great quali, and started from the pole and never looked back, and that was that. His car is so freaking fast and he's so consistent with it that, I mean, here and there for a few laps when it matters he needs to push, and the rest of it he is just having a Sunday drive, going round and round. I mean, that doesn't show me anything about anyone's skills, unfortunately. We have seen some pure insane tire management skills from different drivers over the years recently. That's a skill, sure. I mean, of course, why not? But I mean, is that really the skill that entertains you when you see it on the track? I mean, which one is better? Like Ricciardo trying to outbrake everyone, messing up, or mostly sticking back in his heyday? That was entertaining, that was exciting. It's not exciting to watch Hamilton managing his tires for 40 laps. Yay. I mean, if it creates an unexpected result, let's say beginning of the race, there is this guy, you don't expect him to win at all, he is from the middle of the field or at the back, that would be interesting. If he manages to save his tires and pull out a really different strategy to everyone and surprise everyone with his success, yeah, that would be interesting. It would be tense watching something like will Ocon win this race, Alonso is defending like crazy, what will happen? You don't know, and you are glued to the screen and you are watching the situation unfold. That's something else, but I'm talking in general, the type of racing, current rules created for the past 10 years at least, it's been mostly boring. We have seen Rosberg and Hamilton clash for one season, but they were miles ahead of the rest of the field. It was two of them against each other, and there's some traffic on the road kind of thing. And then later on, once Ferrari came up with a really good car, it gave the drivers an opportunity to fight. But yeah, we all know how it ended. Vettel made some mistakes, and from then on it went downhill to the end of the season. And yeah, still that was an interesting season compared to the rest. And yeah, the last one was the fight between Verstappen and Hamilton going down to the last race, last lap, last safety car. We all know what happened. I'm not going to go deep into the details of that, but yeah, the whole public is split about that, opinion-wise. Overall, it was really a dull run for F1 in recent years. And again, the reason of that is that the rules are now very specific. Like back in the day, you would come with something out of the box and it's a whole new idea, whole new technology. Even if it gets banned, it trickles down the industry. But today, the rules are so specific, everything is measured so tightly that whatever the regulations want you to improve on, that is what you are improving on. Implementing the hybrid energy unit is a result of that. You know, the world is moving towards sustainable energy sources and more sustainable products, using less energy, less fossil fuels and all that. So by implementing this kind of rules, F1 is forcing some of the best engineers on the planet working on these things to really focus on these matters and come up with new fine-tuned, really technological innovations, but within those borders. Like, you will have to work on how can we work this out with this kind of engine, how can we manage the heat, how can we manage the batteries and whatnot. They are intentionally made that way, so it is going to help the entire planet overall, but it will also become attractive for the manufacturers, because let's say you are Volkswagen or Audi is coming in now, and you are falling behind some other brands with your hybrid technologies, for example. Participating in F1, where you will find the best hybrid technology, highest performing units and all that technology that is not trickled down into the everyday life yet. You will get involved with that and you will start learning a lot from whatever you invest in F1, and you will gain it back with, I don't know what kind of factor, but the benefits will be huge for sure. Basically, it is not all about the sport, all about marketing and the glory, the success of the brand. Yeah, all of that is there, but those are mostly secondary targets, I think, at least for the big manufacturers. If there is a small team just there for competing and I don't know, for marketing reasons, for whatever it might be, like, I don't know, Red Bull has no car manufacturing business. Yes, recently they started cooperating with their partners like Aston Martin and so on, but that wasn't the main goal in the beginning, at least. As a soda energy drink brand, it was mostly about extreme sports, all the skydivers, the skiers, snowboarders, all that kind of thing, plus F1, motocross, rally, all that kind of stuff they got involved with for marketing reasons mostly. But for Mercedes, for Audi, for Honda, or Renault, now Alpine, that's not really the case. Another point in general for developing new technologies, innovating and so on, in the beginning your gains are huge. If you are trying to solve a problem when you start, because you are starting from scratch, in the first few steps you are taking, you will be making big improvements. But once you really achieve roughly what can be achieved with your method, the rest is fine-tuning and investing more and more time and resources to have really small returns, performance-wise, success-wise. And looking at F1, with the regulations in their current state, you will not see many cases of someone making a leap, making that improvement to turn things upside down. Whatever was the case in the beginning of the season or for the last few seasons, you will start the season with pretty much the same tendencies. Who will be in front, who will be midfield or back marker. People predict these things mostly accurately before the season even starts these days. And yeah, sometimes, that's why I'm excited now, sometimes some teams somehow put things together so well in a good time, short time, that unexpectedly all of a sudden you get competition, like McLaren did, or how desperate and how bad Mercedes was looking in the beginning of the season, and how they improved, and how they are competing for podiums and even wins now. So that's amazing. That's a great thing. Unfortunately, it's a rare thing. Like I said, it happened just once with Ferrari during Mercedes period, and at the end of that period with the Red Bull and all that rule changes with engine freezing, whatnot. I mean, it happened, but it was even kind of forced, so it could happen. Otherwise, if they did everything as they intended to, with those rule changes not coming at the last minute, I don't know if Red Bull would be in position to really fight the Mercedes and win the first title for Verstappen. So all of that is because they are also seeing what is the problem, and since F1 is sold to its new owner, it became more of a business than anything. I mean, I'm not trying to defend Eccleston or his style, what he was doing with the sport, but now, just for the sake of bringing more money in, they are organizing events completely different, a lot of new tracks, street tracks, like Miami, Baku, I don't know, we had Monaco, maybe one other, maybe not, but now quite a big chunk of the season is just races on street tracks. So yeah, it changed, and with the rule changes, with the things they are trying to achieve, they are targeting more profit, more fan base, bigger fan base, bigger markets, especially trying hard to get into USA and Canada with, well, Canada was always there anyway, but USA is a big deal. They never really became big F1 fans, and these days it seems to work. So yeah, I understand where they are coming from. why they are doing all these things, but all of that also has effect on the rules. Who is winning? Like, how much money are we making from fans of this team or that driver? And all of that matters because it's a business. It's not like Olympic Games or something. You just show up, hey, let's see who is the fastest swimming guy or girl. I don't know. That's not the case in F1 anymore. It is all about pleasing the market, reaching to broader audiences and bringing more money in. So they act differently and they set the rules differently. The whole culture has been changing steadily, and it became a completely different thing today. So these are the reasons why I don't understand why people are looking at all of these just on the surface and just yelling at each other. Well, this is just one of the reasons it doesn't make sense to me. There are other reasons, because like I said in the beginning, the rule changes is a big umbrella. Under that goes a lot of things related to car performance or how they are racing. For example, another really big issue was the refueling. The refueling mixed things up big time. Even if it didn't change the end result that much as one may hope, throughout the race it created a lot of strange situations that made things interesting. Let's say, I'm just randomly creating a scenario, don't try to recall a situation like this, but let's say Michael Schumacher and Mika Hakkinen are in a race, and there is a gap in between them. Let's say Hakkinen is ahead and Schumacher is behind, and Schumacher is trying to undercut Hakkinen with the fresh tires. He goes in pits, and when he comes out, because he's trying to undercut, he will take more fuel because he's pitting earlier, and he will need a little bit more fuel till the end of the race. So he comes out. The first few laps are really important, and he needs to meet a certain performance at lap time. For, let's say, for the next 5 laps, he has to average this lap time to be able to be ahead of Hakkinen when he comes in and out of the pits. But there is refueling, and he took more fuel. He came out with the fresh tires, but his car is heavier. And there is another guy, let's say it is some BAR Honda or Orange Arrow, someone on the road, which is going to pit, didn't pit yet, and is on relatively good tires. So the car is performing better than it's on average. And Schumacher comes out and he's behind this guy. So normally Schumacher's Ferrari is way better, faster than this other car, but now the Ferrari is heavier. Despite being on fresher tires, the car is not performing as good as it does in average. So Schumacher was supposed to do some really good laps to be able to undercut Hakkinen, and now he's stuck behind this guy. And normally it shouldn't be a problem, but now it is. And it wasn't always that easy to overtake these random guys. They were not acting like, hey, this is not my race, I shouldn't be fighting Schumacher and losing time to it or something. No, the guy can actually follow pretty closely, or can be followed pretty closely, and there is no DRS. So on the straights, a lighter car with a good exit from the corner can create huge headaches for a better car, faster car that is on high fuel heavier and not really accelerating as good as it does normally. You see where I'm getting at? Those kind of things were all included in the drama, and you wouldn't be like, hey, for the next 15 laps nothing will happen, pretty much, and in some cases the whole race is pretty much over. After a few laps you already see that someone is 7 seconds ahead or something. It's ridiculous. So you always had these unexpected, surprising curveballs, and they made it more entertaining to watch, to be honest. And besides that, it also showed us a lot of different scenarios where drivers could really show us if they are really good at adapting, if their skills are up there to cope with all those kind of problems, unexpected things. They had to display their skills more often. I'm not saying that today even some rookie, I don't know, Piastri is not a rookie anymore, but he's a really fresh driver, been just a few seasons in F1. Maybe he is better than Mika Hakkinen, I don't know. I'm not arguing against that. I'm just saying that Piastri doesn't really have too many situations in a race where he really needs to show his skills. It is mostly consistency and managing all those things, little things, and you cannot really pull a rabbit out of the hat easily. So if your car is better, more often than not, you will have a chill race and you will just perform wherever you should be placed in the order, and you cannot really go too much beyond that. And that is the reason why there are so many people, for example, praising Alonso, because he is still one of those people who can somehow still try to at least pull a rabbit out of the hat, trying really hard to deny where that car is and try to push that car beyond where it is, which is again entertaining, isn't it? Either you like him, support him or not, you must admit that he is trying hard and meanwhile displaying quite some skills. So we talked about a few of the dynamics that help build this kind of results, let's say, or shape the sport. And it is clear to me that just looking at race wins or pole positions, or I don't know, 5 times world champion, 4 times for world champion, or the most pole positions in a season, or I don't know, most consecutive this or that, like those figures, those numbers don't really tell the tale, actually. And there are other dynamics, there are other factors causing all these results. And I'm not saying that this or that driver should have won or should have been more successful or whatever. I'm not really on about individuals. But what I'm trying to say is that those figures need some context and some explaining, and we should value things according to those instead of just being superficial and looking at the number. One more championship title, so he's better or worse. That doesn't really make sense to me, and that's not an argument for me. By the way, I kept talking, but we needed to rest meanwhile, so just getting done with it. Yes, we can continue, but I will fast forward a bit. So let's make some progress, and I'll catch with you in a bit. How many gates were there? Holy cow. Now that's some border crossing. We got a big mosque here. In Turkey, I think. Yeah, this is Turkey. Oh, what's that? Did they crash? It looks like they crashed. Nah, I should. Yeah, I'll try to pass on the right. Now, is backing up? Does AI do that? Seeing for the first time. He actually backed up and they were not crashed. And now he's coming with me. Let it go. Yeah, thank you. And now the small car is having a go at it. Anyway, let's keep going. I went wrong again. I never seem to fail. Every trip I mess up something like this, go the wrong way, try to back up, create a mess. There should be some funny music at the background matching this stupidity, I guess. By the way, don't try this in real with any kind of vehicle. I don't care what you're driving. Never do this. It's a game, so I'm doing it, but in real life I would never do such a thing. More often than not, it will end up badly. So Uncle Joe is very sleepy. It's getting desperate again. I'm looking for a place to park and one is coming up. So I talked about two things today. It was not really structured, so it was more like here a bunch of thoughts kind of thing, which I'm not really happy with. I will try to be more careful with that. I will try to at least make some list of headlines that I'm going to talk about, so it's a little bit more structured and makes better sense. But today I try to talk about two things. One, the car development aspect of the things and its evolution throughout the F1 history. What was it before? What is it like now? And how does it affect things on the track? And then some other rule changes that change the way things go on the track directly. And I gave an example to that with the refueling regulation. There are more examples, there are more stuff to talk about, of course, but I could manage to fit one example for now. We will talk about it further later on. And both of these things, the regulations directly having an effect on the things going on the track, and the regulations about car development, are pieces of a puzzle alongside all the other factors building up the current situation we are seeing in F1. We should understand these things, or at least try to be a little informed about these things in order to make a healthy argument and have a good conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Either you agree or disagree. It is good to talk about these things, consider these things instead of being just superficial. Now, great. Last minute dozing just as we park. So we will park here and rest. And I think we will call it a day. We will continue in the next one. And we will talk more about the F1 subject. Until then, take care. I'll see you in the next one.